Right now on Morning News Now, after a 4-hour meeting, tensions seem to ease between President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Those are some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
I'm convinced that once open, the door of China-U.S. relations cannot be shut again.
We'll take you to San Francisco for more on the meeting, plus how it could help repair relations between the two superpowers. Also this morning, Israel under fire over what it calls a targeted operation on Gaza's largest hospital. Israeli troops storming the facility, leaving hundreds stranded inside without access to care. This as NBC News gets an up-close look inside Gaza as civilians try to escape the fighting. And a major breakthrough in attempts to extend those so-called humanitarian pauses. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, parts of Florida underwater after a night of heavy rain. We're tracking the storm system making its way from the southeast to New England. And it's a silent struggle for tens of millions of people during the holiday season. We'll get candid about the complexity of having an eating disorder, especially this time of year, and how you can support loved ones who might be struggling. An important conversation to have, especially since Thanksgiving is next week. Can you believe it?
Something we can all keep on our minds. Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Thursday. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to get started this morning with that major meeting between President Biden and China's President Xi Jinping aimed at rekindling a U.S.-China relationship that would basically hit rock bottom.
Both leaders met face-to-face yesterday in California, the first time that has happened in a year. The talks lasted about 4 hours and covered a range of issues focused on the economy, the military, and more, issues that have often divided Beijing and Washington. Speaking afterward, President Biden said the countries made progress in some areas.
I believe there are some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had. Our meetings have always been candid and straightforward. We haven't always agreed, but they've been straightforward. And today build on the groundwork we laid over the past several months of high-level diplomacy between our teams. We've made some important progress, I believe.
NBC News foreign correspondent Janice Mackey-Frayer joins us now from San Francisco. So, Janice, we certainly saw some positive steps on issues like restoring military communications and curbing fentanyl production. On the flip side, looks like there's still major disagreement on Taiwan. That's maybe not a huge surprise. But walk us through what did come out of yesterday's talks and what we're hearing from both sides.
Well, expectations going into the meeting were set quite low. U.S. officials were very good about communicating that in the days leading up to the summit. They confirmed the announcement on trying to curb fentanyl precursors flowing out of China into the U.S. via Mexico, and also the resumption of military-to-military confrontation. The thing is, that's low-hanging fruit in terms of what the diplomatic outcomes could have been. These are initiatives that had been in place. There were existing agreements that had been cut off in 2022 by China when Nancy Pelosi did that controversial visit to Taiwan. Taiwan still appears to be the most contentious issue between the two sides. You could tell in terms of the messaging in social media and in Chinese state media afterwards that the Chinese side was not content with what the U.S. was saying on Taiwan. They did get a commitment from President Biden that the U.S. does not support Taiwan independence, and there was the reiteration on the Chinese side that the U.S. would not interfere in what China sees as a domestic concern. At the same time that this was happening, there were reports from Taiwan's defense ministry that there were 10 military aircraft and 5 naval vessels that were operating near Taiwan. Military activity in the region has become normalized, and the defense ministry said that this is part of their normal training operation, but all of it suggesting that Taiwan very much remains the red line for China.
Janice, there was this controversial moment at the end of President Biden's press conference where he again called President Xi a dictator. What's been the reaction from Beijing, and were there any concerns that those comments could maybe harm any progress that had come of their discussion, their meeting?
Well, you'll remember last summer when President Biden made that comment at a private fundraiser, calling Xi Jinping a dictator. This happened literally within hours of Secretary of State Blinken finishing his visit to Beijing. At the time, President Biden didn't walk back the comments. How it came up again was in response to a question that was posed to President Biden at the press conference that he had after the meeting. Here's what he said.
He is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
There hasn't been a lot of reaction on the Chinese side. There seems to be the sense that officially there is an effort underway to get U.S.-China relations back on track. When it came up at the regular briefing at China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, when they were asked about it, it was brushed off in saying that people were trying to sabotage positive U.S.-China relations. Didn't name which people were trying to do that. But there does seem to be the sense officially in China that they are trying to make this reset in relations work.
Janice, after the meeting, we know President Xi addressed top U.S. business leaders and executives at a dinner there in San Francisco. What was his message to them?
Pandas. That was the message that came out of that dinner with business executives as well. Secretary Raimondo was in the crowd, and Governor Newsom. Xi Jinping was presented with some gifts, and he, in return, presented the news that there would be pandas returning to the San Diego Zoo, which will be well received here. He's also saying that China wants to extend an invitation to up to 50,000 American students over the next 5 years to come and study in China. The student numbers traditionally have been higher than what they are. 10 years ago, there were 15,000 students American students who were studying in China. Now there's about 300. So they are looking to increase what they call people-to-people exchanges as a sign that U.S.-China relations are back on track, cautiously, but back on track.
Plus a little panda diplomacy. All right, Janice, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Well, this morning, Israeli Defense Forces are continuing their raid on Gaza's largest hospital, leaving hundreds of patients, doctors, and caregivers stranded inside with no access to critical care. The situation inside Al-Shifa hospital, it is quickly deteriorating. The building is no longer operational. Doctors are pleading for resources, including electricity and fuel, to power incubators needed to keep dozens of premature babies alive.
Now, Israeli troops are inside Al-Shifa. They're searching for evidence that Hamas used the hospital as a shield to hide their tunnels underneath the facility. For many international organizations, the situation unfolding at the hospital is a small glimpse at the larger situation in Gaza. The World Health Organization says tens of thousands of Gazans are suffering from disease without access to clean water and waste management. But there is only one hospital left operating in the north to help those in need. Thousands have fled northern Gaza with little hope of finding relief.
NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest on this. Hey, Raf, good morning. So you were inside Gaza this week alongside the Israeli military, making you the first of our correspondents who's actually seeing people inside Gaza, seeing civilians since the war started. Walk us through what you saw along these escape routes. What stood out to you?
So, Savannah, good morning. We headed to the eastern edge of Gaza City to see what Israel's military calls a humanitarian corridor. This is one of the main roads in Gaza for Palestinian civilians fleeing south on foot, trying to get away from the fighting in Gaza City. And it was a striking and a painful scene there. We saw little children with their hands above their heads, their parents clutching their ID cards, raising them in the air as Israeli forces looked on. We saw elderly people in wheelchairs, families carrying whatever they could as they headed south to an uncertain future. From Israel's military's perspective, they see this as proof of their commitment to protecting civilians, proof that their war is only against Hamas, not the people of Gaza, and they want to get those civilians to a safer place. But guys, for many Palestinians, this looks and feels like forced displacement. This is people who feel they have no choice but to leave their homes as Israel's military closes in around Gaza City, and they have no guarantee that they will be able to return to their homes afterwards. We asked Israel's military, will these people be able to go back? They weren't able to be definitive with us. There was also this chilling moment where Israeli troops were shouting into a bullhorn in Hebrew in case there were Israeli hostages who were being smuggled in that crowd of Palestinian civilians heading south. Those forces told us they had seen no sign of the hostages so far. Guys.
Some incredible details from your reporting there, Raf. Let's talk about something you weren't able to see firsthand, the Israeli raid of Al-Shifa hospital. So what more are we learning this morning about that? And have any international agencies been able to contact those who are trapped inside?
Yeah, Joe, so the Israeli military told me as of an hour ago their raid on Al-Shifa hospital is ongoing, confirming reports from Palestinian media earlier. Now, Israel has been saying for weeks Hamas has been operating out of this hospital. It's the largest medical facility inside of the Gaza Strip. Their troops went in, and now they are presenting what they say is evidence to the world of Hamas's activity. That evidence at this point is pretty sparse. They found a number of assault rifles, ammunition, grenades. They found some laptops and various pamphlets, literature, which they say belong to Hamas. Both Israel and the United States have said Hamas is operating tunnels and a command center underneath Al-Shifa hospital. We have not yet seen any sign of those tunnels, nor of any hostages. The Israeli military is saying, look, Hamas knew we were coming. They cleared out. They fled the area. But there is more evidence still to be found. But various human rights organizations, the World Health Organization, are saying, whatever the reality, whether Hamas is using this hospital or not, Israel has an obligation to keep the people inside safe. Guys.
Raf, quickly before we let you go, the United Nations Security Council, there was some news here yesterday. They passed their first resolution since the war broke out over a month ago, calling for extended humanitarian pauses in Gaza. Tell us about this vote and the likelihood of Israel complying.
So this is binding international law. It passed through the UN Security Council, but the world opinion that Israel really cares about is the United States. The U.S. did not vote for this resolution. It didn't use its powers to veto it either. So that is likely to be interpreted here in Israel as a sign that the U.S. wants to see more done on the humanitarian front, but it is deferring to Israel on the ground. And the consistent line from the Israeli government, from the Israeli military, has been there will be no long-term ceasefire without the release of the hostages. Guys.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thank you very much. Great reporting.
Raid inside Al-Shifa hospital is adding to the very real life and death concerns over the use of force on medical facilities.
Although the Israeli military and U.S. intelligence have accused Hamas of working inside hospitals, experts say that certain criteria must be met before medical facilities lose the protected status granted to them under international humanitarian law.
NBC News foreign correspondent Molly Hunter's been looking into this and joins us with more. Molly, good morning. So take us through the conflict zone where all this is happening. What kind of medical protections does a hospital have? How does a hospital lose its protected status?
Joe, Savannah, good morning. That's right. So we'll start with just showing our audience exactly where we're talking about. Of course, by this point, we're pretty familiar with the Gaza Strip. That is the northern Gaza Strip you see in this map. And you see the three main hospitals in the northern Gaza Strip. That is Al-Quds, Al-Shifa, an Indonesian hospital. Al-Shifa, as you just heard from Raf, of course, is really the center of this conversation, the center of the news today in Gaza. Al-Quds, we know, is no longer operating. We actually know that 200 people from Al-Quds walked 7 hours, you guys, to a functioning hospital down in Khan Yunis. And then this is a graphic you see. This is the setup. This is kind of the layout, a satellite image of Al-Shifa hospital. Now, we do not have details from the IDF about exactly which buildings they have searched so far, which buildings they are currently in, or where they have currently found evidence. But I do just want to lay out to the second part of your question exactly what international law says about protection of medical facilities. And I think we have a full screen from the ICRC that talks about the specific protection of medical establishments is the general rule under IHL. That's International Humanitarian Law. And you did just hear from Raf very clearly. There is an obligation. Both sides, the combatants, have an obligation to keep medical facilities and the people inside safe. And this is an important bit. In case of doubt as to whether medical units of establishments are used to commit an act of harmful to the enemy, they should be presumed not to be so used. So if there is any doubt, they have to be presumed to still be protected. Now, I spoke with Professor Wolfendale, Jessica Wolfendale. She is a professor, a military ethics expert at Case Western University about all of this. We ran through a couple, I think we have one more graphic. We ran through a couple of the instances, the examples of what could be considered an act harmful to the enemy. That could be a hospital used as a base from which to launch an attack. That could be a weapons depot. That could be a center for liaison with fighting troops, or that could be a shelter for able-bodied combatants. Now, also interesting is if there is evidence, and the bar is very high, that the hospital has lost its protected status, the requirement, you guys, before an attack is a 12-hour warning.
Molly, let's talk a little bit about what we know is going on in this hospital. We've heard a little bit from IDF. I also do want to read part of a statement. This is from the head of the orthopedic department at the Al-Shifa complex. The statement they put out says the occupation forces vandalized medical equipment during their storming of Al-Shifa medical complex. We do not lack incubators for infants, but we lack safety and fuel, seemingly a reference to the fact that IDF was seen bringing incubators in, but then, of course, there's not that fuel. Walk us through, as a decision is being weighed when deciding to attack a medical facility, to your point about the protected status, how that is weighed and decided on, especially with what type of activities we're hearing is happening inside these walls.
Exactly. And I think one of the interesting points that Professor Wolfendale made to me, too, is that the situation on the ground, the exact circumstances have a lot to do with that. So you mentioned the lack of fuel, the lack of food. So if that warning comes, and that warning 12 hours before is required under international law, it has to take into account of whether the warning can actually allow for action. So is there a circumstance where people can actually safely evacuate? And you talk to doctors inside many of these hospitals over the last couple of days, and the situation has not allowed for any evacuation. The second part that any military has to think about before attacking a hospital is proportionality. So take a quick listen to what she told me. And this is Professor Wolfendale from Case Western Reserve University, specifically about the short and long-term effects.
Once medical facilities are rendered unusable by whatever kind of military operation, then that has long-term, well, actually short-term and long-term impact on the well-being and welfare of non-combatants in that whole area. So if hospitals are being routinely destroyed or denied access to necessary equipment, to fuel, to food and fuel and water, then that has this much broader impact on the civilian population that extends beyond the immediate potential victims of that.
So when we're talking about protection, you guys, when we're talking about civilian protection, we're not just talking about the patients that are currently inside, but civilians or people that may need that medical facility as the war goes on.
All right, Molly Hunter breaking it down for us. Molly, thank you so much. Flood alerts are in effect in Florida this morning with rain in the forecast around the country this weekend. Let's get a check on your Morning News Now weather.
Angie Lastman's in studio with us. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. We've got some flood alerts still across the state of Florida. That's where it's really been busy over the past 48 hours or so, picking up in places like Miami International Airport, more than 8 inches yesterday. So we do have the flood alerts, but the good news is, especially for South Florida, most of those flood alerts have expired, but we're still dealing with some of those stretching up into Port St. Lucie, Palm Bay, Daytona Beach, along the Space Coast as well. Now, what you see in the blue there, those are wind advisories because we are still dealing with some gusty winds across portions of South Florida. So even though the rain has mostly moved out, or at least the heaviest of it has moved offshore, we're still going to see it be a little breezy. We know there's power outages there and likely still some flooded roadways across that region. Plenty of rain still moving through the state of Florida as you move a little farther north, Orlando up to Jacksonville. We've got some rain out in the Gulf of Mexico, but we're going to watch this area right here, this low pressure that's going to continue to keep it a little unsettled across the state today. Most of that rain across South Florida, not going to be all that impressive, nothing like what it was yesterday, but even a little bit of rain might be problematic for folks that already picked up so much on those already saturated grounds. As we get into tomorrow, though, that system starts to lift north. We'll also see a cold front cross the Ohio Valley. That's going to leave us with some rain for folks in that region. But these two things will kind of merge, especially the moisture from it. You can see that it works into portions of the Northeast and New England specifically. As we get into Saturday, this will bring some heavy rain and some wind and some chilly temperatures behind it. In the meantime, still watching for some flooding concerns across Florida because of all of that rain that we received yesterday, and we could see some still impressive rainfall rates today. When it comes to travel, if you're going in and out of the state of Florida, I'd mostly watch for Miami International Airport to have issues today, Tampa, Jacksonville, even up into Nashville and Cincinnati. You could have some minor delays with just some showers along those areas. And then I-95 is going to be one of the wet spots if you're going to be in that area. Otherwise, we've got warmth across parts of the east, guys, and above average highs in the middle of the country today.
I suppose there are some folks who are getting a start on their Thanksgiving travel now, right?
Why not? Beat the rush.
Make it a week.
Yeah, you've got the week. Yeah, you're right.
Thanks, Angie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Much more to come here on Morning News Now later this hour. An NBC News exclusive, the never-before-seen footage shot just days before the deadly Rust film set shooting, showing actor Alec Baldwin firing a prop gun.
Up first, so after the break, terrifying moments for tourists on vacation in the Bahamas. What we know about a ferry boat accident that claimed the life of one woman on board. We'll be right back.
We are back now with some terrifying moments for tourists in the Bahamas when a ferry boat started sinking with almost 100 people on board. Families were forced to jump into the water with life jackets to survive. And a 74-year-old woman who was pulled from the water was later pronounced dead. NBC News correspondent Morgan Chesky has the details.
A vacation nightmare in the Bahamas. New video showing a tourist ferry boat on its side and sinking, taking on water by the second after being battered by rough seas.
Our boat is sinking.
Kelly Shishel capturing the frightening play-by-play on her phone. From her view on the boat's upper deck, she watched the ferry's slow descent into what had been beautiful blue waters.
I'm on the top floor of a ferry.
Frightened passengers seen huddling together, confused and terrified as the boat slipped farther underwater.
One of the crew members that was downstairs ran upstairs and was crying, freaking out, absolutely bawling, grabbing a life jacket. And then that's when everybody's like, oh, this is real, something's happening.
Authorities say the double-decker catamaran was taking close to 100 tourists to Blue Lagoon Island Tuesday, just a few miles north of the Bahamian capital of Nassau. The first distress call coming around 11 a.m.
We were kind of waiting for the staff to tell us what to do, which they never did because they were too busy crying and freaking out.
New video from another passenger, Sarah Grady, shared first to Top Story, showing first responders on a nearby boat trying to render aid. Her mother injured as the boat sank. Some passengers didn't wait, jumping into the water until rescue boats could arrive. Authorities say a 74-year-old Colorado woman was pulled from the water unresponsive and later pronounced dead. In a statement, Blue Lagoon Island saying in part, the incident occurred as the boat was approaching and near to the island. Adding passengers and 5 staff members were located and brought to the island, and 2 passengers were taken to the hospital for additional care. All on board are accounted for. Authorities investigating the circumstances behind the fatal incident that turned an island getaway into a fight for survival.
Our thanks to Morgan Chesky for that report. While NBC did reach out to the tour boat company for comment, they did not respond. Authorities say this remains an active investigation.
More international news now. France has issued an international arrest warrant for Syria's president.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lavanga has that and other world headlines. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Joe Savannah, good morning. That's right. French authorities issued those warrants for the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad, his brother, and also 2 other senior officials. Now, lawyers for Syrian victims allege they are all complicit in war crimes and crimes against humanity. These alleged crimes stem from the violence of the Syrian civil war. Assad reportedly took on violent and controversial measures to suppress political opposition, including the alleged use of banned chemical weapons against Syrian civilians. So far, there are no comments from the Syrian government on the warrants. Now let's travel over to Haiti, where an armed gang reportedly stormed the Fontaine Hospital in Port-au-Prince, trapping hundreds of women, children, and newborns inside. The hospital's founder and director, Jose Ulisse, pleaded for help on social media. Haiti's national police brought out 3 armored trucks to evacuate the victims, which included about 40 children. According to Ulisse, the victims are now in a safer part of the city. The Fontaine Hospital is a lifeline for the community, currently experiencing waves of deadly gang violence. And we end this short tour of the world with a musical number. If you remember, earlier this year, Gwyneth Paltrow spent some time in court in a legal battle with a skiing optometrist. Well, now it's getting the musical treatment. The show is called Gwyneth Goes Skiing, no wonder, and is set to debut in London this December. Actors Linus Carp as Paltrow and Terry Sanderson as the optometrist will recreate the moment the two collided on that ski slope back in 2016. The show also features original music by singer and songwriter Leland from RuPaul's Drag Race. Back to you, Joyce. A lot
of people sent that to me yesterday, so clearly it's getting some attention.
I looked immediately at him. Did you know about that? Oh my God, that poster.
I kind of want to go see that. All right,
That's
thanks.
Very funny. Thank you.
We've heard a lot about warnings about artificial intelligence and its potential effect on elections. Well, it's already playing out right now in Argentina. A New York Times report details how candidates there are using the technology and what we could expect to see in our own elections. NBC's Stephen Romo takes a closer look.
It's a scene showing Spider-Man's powers put to the test. But in this clip from the 2004 Spider-Man 2 film, it's not Tobey Maguire saving New Yorkers. Instead, it's Sergio Massa, one of the leading candidates in Argentina's upcoming presidential election. This AI-generated deepfake posted on social media with the caption, "There was a train called Argentina." It's the latest political tactic being used just days before what's expected to be a close election. Argentina's top contenders turning to artificial intelligence to make content that appeals to voters. Massa's team has been continually posting content depicting the center-left candidate in well-known pop culture scenes. And it doesn't stop there. New reporting from the New York Times highlighting these AI-created campaign posters, showing Massa as a political figure worth voting for, while simultaneously using the technology to make his opponent, Javier Milei, the libertarian candidate, appear in a negative light, putting him in scenes like this one from the movie A Clockwork Orange. Milei fighting back, also using what appear to be AI-generated images, in one instant portraying Massa as a Chinese communist leader.
We have democratized the technology in the sense that anybody can use it. You don't have to be a computer scientist or a coder to use sophisticated AI tools. Anybody can create and disseminate misinformation.
A conversation now looming ahead of the U.S. 2024 presidential election.
This morning, an emboldened China invades.
In April, the Republican National Committee released this AI-generated ad. It shows fictional scenes of disaster and unrest following a second White House win by Biden.
I expect a tsunami of AI-generated information in the upcoming election.
Where do you think that we'll be in 5 years, 10 years if we continue down this road?
We're headed towards a world where it's going to be almost impossible to distinguish fake images. Candidates are going to be put in positions where they're saying or doing things they didn't actually do. The great concern is, are we entering into a post-fact world?
A poll by the Associated Press and the University of Chicago released earlier this month found that 58% of U.S. adults are concerned AI could increase the spread of disinformation during the 2024 presidential election.
People have to be careful that they are not deceived or manipulated by false images. They need to be skeptical when they are watching anything.
Uncharted territory for voters in Argentina ahead of this weekend's presidential election.
Our thanks to Stephen Romo for that report. Now, in order to prevent AI-created political disinformation in the U.S., there are some efforts to require disclosure, and there's a bipartisan bill to prohibit AI-generated material for federal campaigns. Coming up, tens of millions of Americans will be facing a difficult Thanksgiving.
Up next, a candid conversation about how eating disorders can impact holiday celebrations and how you can show support for those who are struggling. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. With Thanksgiving just a week away, many people will be looking, of course, to celebrate the festive season with friends, family, and food.
But for those with eating disorders, the holidays can be especially challenging. Eating disorders are estimated to impact 70 million people worldwide. And because the holidays are often centered around food, this can increase anxiety and stress, turning a joyous occasion into a daunting experience.
Joining us now to discuss this is Joanna Kandel. She's the founder and CEO of the National Alliance for Eating Disorders. Thank you so much for joining us on this important topic this morning. We're happy to have you with us. Talk to us about why this particular season can really be a trigger for people who struggle with this.
Yeah, just like you said, there are over 70 million Americans that will experience an eating disorder worldwide, and 29 million just here in the United States. And the holidays are a time of coming together and celebrating around food, around maybe connecting with people that they haven't seen for a long time, very social. And for individuals that are experiencing eating disorders, it can be a very high time of anxiety, of feeling out of control. So it can be that perfect storm of discomfort for them.
We're showing video of food right now. What role can the media's portrayal of the holidays play in this? And just for friends and family, what are maybe some of the signs they can watch out for during the holidays?
Sure. So I think, very personally, I love a good Hallmark movie. And there is, that assumption that everyone comes together and there's this amazing relationship with each other, with food. And again, for people that are having this struggle, it can be very difficult. So if you have a loved one, for example, that you're noticing are having a very difficult time around their body, or maybe their weight, for example, maybe they're developed idiosyncratic ways of eating, maybe there's some discomfort around around meal times, around specific foods. Also, if you're seeing a difference in mood and personality, they might have become more introverted, more depression, more anxiety. Those might be some signs that there's something going on.
Tell us how to approach a conversation then. If you are seeing any of those signs, if you're concerned about a loved one, how do you start this?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say come with love and compassion and always approach from I statements. You know, hey, so-and-so, I've noticed that, and, you know, reflect on the behavior. I really love you and I care about you and I'm just very worried. Is there something that's going on and can I help you?
What are some resources that are available for people, and then just what's some advice you would offer during the holiday season?
Yeah. Well, the National Alliance for Eating Disorders is the leading national nonprofit organization that can offer you referrals to care, free support groups, and just connection for individuals that are experiencing eating disorders and as well as their families. But more than anything is that recovery is possible. However, less than 30% of individuals will ever get access to care, but there are resources available. Please do not stay in shame and in secrecy, because if you do reach out, there are individuals and services that can help you.
Joanna Kandel, very important conversation. Thank you so much. There's a little bit more advice on your screen as well. We appreciate you coming. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And if you or anyone you know is struggling with an eating disorder, please text NEDA to 741-741 as you see on your screen. And if you're in a crisis and need any type of help immediately, please call 988. Well, coming up, renewed fallout over that deadly shooting on the set of Rust.
When we come back, an exclusive look at never-before-seen video shot just days before, plus the latest on more possible charges against actor Alec Baldwin. You're watching Morning News Now.
Welcome back. Let's get to some financial news. The UAW and Mack Trucks, they are now shaking hands over their new labor deal.
CNBC's Silvana Henao has details on that and some other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, so the UAW says about 3,900 members at Mack Trucks have ratified a new 5-year contract ending a nearly 40-day strike. A previous contract deal included a 19% pay raise and improved retirement benefits, but workers overwhelmingly voted against it and walked off the job. Mack Trucks says the revised contract guarantees significant pay increases and covers employees at plants in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Florida. Mack is one of North America's largest makers of medium and heavy-duty trucks. Meta is testing a new tagging feature for Threads that's like a hashtag, but not quite. And as we know, we can use a hashtag to create or add to a conversation. But instead of showing up as a hashtag word, Threads will convert it to a blue text hyperlink. The feature is only being tested in Australia for now before it's rolled out more widely. And Chick-fil-A is testing drone delivery at a small number of locations. One restaurant in Brandon, Florida, which is in the Tampa area, is now offering customers free drone delivery. Customers can select Chick-fil-A delivery when placing an order on the app. The delivery distance is limited and is only available Monday through Friday between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. Employees will load the order into a white box, which is attached to a drone, and then sent to the delivery location, guys. How about that?
That stuff always just kind of blows my mind. To actually start to see that happen, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Savannah,
I want to see it in
so
New York, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
exactly. Thank you, Savannah.
We've got new details this morning in the Rust film set shooting investigation in New Mexico. NBC News has obtained exclusive production footage taken in the days before the accidental shooting of death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins.
Meanwhile, special prosecutors are preparing to convene a grand jury to decide whether Alec Baldwin will face criminal charges. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas has the details.
Never-before-seen footage from the set of Rust, where live ammunition was later found to have been present.
One more.
Filmed in the days before the fatal shooting of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins.
I'm getting up. Then when he drops his arm, Halyna get out. He drops his arm.
The clips obtained exclusively by NBC News show Alec Baldwin rehearsing, working with firearms, and giving directions to crew members, including Hutchins.
And everyone doesn't need to be right here, like in the path of the gun. Could you please move?
Just want to be over him a little bit so I can see it.
Now, wait a second. If I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you.
According to a source familiar with the matter, these videos are among dozens provided to special prosecutors days before they announced plans to recharge Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter. The footage is just a portion of the evidence that could be presented before a New Mexico grand jury. NBC News has not seen the rest of the videos.
You got a boy of your own, Marshall?
Baldwin's legal team and the prosecution declined to comment on the videos, which show the star expressing concern for crew members' safety.
Okay.
And giving orders on the low-budget set.
I asked for the blanket over here, didn't I? Like 3 times. Is there a blanket right there now? What's that cloth on the ground there? Put it over here now.
A source familiar with the matter telling NBC News that prosecutors believe Baldwin is arrogant, hoping a trial would humble the actor, and were frustrated with his public comments on the matter.
I feel that someone is responsible for what happened, and I can't say who that is, but I know it's not me.
This morning, a rare look behind the scenes of the troubled production and the actions of its leading man.
Our thanks to Chloe Melas for that reporting. Well, the grand jury was originally scheduled to be called today. Sources tell NBC News the judge wanted more time to review materials in the case. It is expected to begin before the start of Hannah Gutierrez Reed's trial in February. She was the armorer. For more, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Cefalos on this. Danny, good morning. As always, great to have you. So as Chloe's report made clear, we haven't seen all this production footage yet, and we're getting these little glimpses of it. But what are you taking away from it? What does it sort of show, prove, anything like that could make a difference here?
It shows that Alec Baldwin was on the set of a movie which was a Western theme, shooting firearms because it's a Western-themed movie, a Wild West, Old West movie. What does that tell us? Absolutely nothing. But the prosecution may theorize that this is evidence that Alec Baldwin was on the set, being bossy with the crew and shooting firearms. Look, that may show some kind of negligence if everybody works in an accounting firm, but this is the set of a Wild West movie. This is a different standard, and that's what this case, if it's ever prosecuted, will come down to. The testimony of experts about what the standard of care is on a movie set and whether anyone's conduct fell below that standard of care. Not just the fact that somebody had a firearm or was shooting a blanks on a movie set about basically cowboys. I mean, that's not going to be the standard.
So you said if it's prosecuted. It's been about a month since we first reported prosecutors do intend to recharge Baldwin with involuntary manslaughter. At this point, how likely is it, do you think, that will happen? Recognizing you have to kind of get in the head of the prosecutors here and the grand jurors. How rare would that be to have someone recharged after we had the charges, cases was dropped, and now here we are?
Yeah, let me put my irrational hat on, and the answer is yes, he will likely be charged again, but he shouldn't. As to your question about recharging, that actually happens a lot in cases where, for example, a witness doesn't show up to a preliminary hearing. The case gets tossed, but you have to explain to the client that, you know, they really could recharge you again as soon as they find this witness because jeopardy hasn't yet attached. But in a case like this, where you've investigated a person for over a year, and according to Chloe's terrific reporting, reportedly, some of the prosecutors are talking about humbling Alec Baldwin. That's pretty scary stuff, Joe. You don't want to think about prosecutors deciding that they don't like someone first and then looking for facts to prosecute them. I have to tell you, as a defense attorney, we think that all the time. We're probably wrong. This is so scary because we may actually be right once in a blue moon that there are prosecutors out there who decide, I don't like that famous person. Let's take him down.
Yeah, so on the point of that humble, the other thing I know in Chloe's reporting is they want to make this a teachable moment. I mean, when you hear things like that, it just almost seems like that, I mean, this is just from obviously not a lawyer saying this, it seems like that shouldn't be allowed in the courtroom. Like that shouldn't be allowed to be the reason that prosecution decides that they want to make a case. What do you make of those types of sentiments being thrown around?
Prosecutors are supposed to follow the facts where they go, without fear or favor. You hear that a lot. And that is just a hacky phrase that a lot of prosecutors trot out when they're standing at the podium. But look, as a defense attorney, as a biased defense attorney, defense attorneys often accuse prosecutors of having it out for that guy. But, you know, realistically, I don't think the prosecutors believe they're doing that. This is one instance where reportedly the evidence appears to show that the prosecutors have decided they simply don't like Alec Baldwin. He's a fancy pants Hollywood elite elite that comes to our little town and we're going to teach him a lesson. It's almost the hacky theme of a lot of movies like Footloose. You guys are too young for Footloose, but some of these movies where the big city guy comes to the little town and these guys are going to teach him a lesson. It's terrifying. And to any degree, if he's prosecuted, if they can, the defense can crowbar that into evidence and show the jury what this case is really about. And we haven't even gotten to the substance. This is such a defensible case. Look just at the fact that, I could think in my closing, I would say something like, hey, you know who doesn't think Alec Baldwin's guilty? The prosecutors. Not only they dropped these charges, but they're prosecuting the armorer who had primary responsibility for safety on the set. And they gave a sweet deal to somebody else who also had responsibility for the safety on the set. So if you cut up all this safety responsibility, how much is left for Alec Baldwin? Then you call the experts in firearm safety and stunts on a set. I've used stunt experts in my own cases. And look, expert testimony, you can find someone on either side to say whatever either side needs. So at the end of the case, if it's 50-50 one way or another, that's not reasonable doubt.
Real quickly, you mentioned the word jeopardy. There are folks who don't have much legal knowledge or it's based on law and order. They might be saying, wait, isn't this double jeopardy? Explain to us why that's not the case here.
Double jeopardy is one of those promises in the Constitution that is so hollow. I can't tell you. I mean, in theory, jeopardy attaches once the jury is impaneled and the first witness is sworn in. In reality, it doesn't work that way because, for example, a mistrial where a jury deadlocks does not count for double jeopardy purposes. So a defendant can go through an entire trial multiple times and be tried again and again. Another example is if there is a federal aspect to this conduct, a state crime and a federal crime does not equal double jeopardy. We've seen that before where police officers are prosecuted for, say, excessive force and then they're prosecuted for civil rights violations for the exact same conduct. So double jeopardy in this case would mean simply that he hasn't even been tried yet. These are prosecutorial hiccups, basically. They're stutter steps. We're going to charge him. No, we're not. OK, maybe we are. No, we're not. As long as jeopardy doesn't attach, they can keep doing this ridiculous back and forth, changing their mind about prosecuting. It's been well over a year. The Empire State Building right behind you was built in just a little over a year. These folks can't decide whether a firearm was operable, not operable, whether it was safe on the set, not safe on the set. So this is an uphill battle for the prosecution, but they seem to like uphill battles.
If I were Alec Baldwin, I would call you. Danny Sabalos, thank you very much.
800-555.
Thanks, Danny.
Coming up, Princess Diana's final years back in the spotlight.
Yeah, it's time for the highly anticipated final season of Netflix's hit show, The Crown. When we come back, what we know about the first 4 episodes that already have fans talking. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now.
The host of next year's Academy Awards has been announced, and it is a rather familiar face. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel will be returning to host for the 2nd year in a row and the 4th time overall. This year's ceremony in 2023 brought 18.7 million viewers. It's the most since the start of COVID. In a statement, Kimmel said he had always dreamed of hosting the Oscars exactly 4 times. He has a ways to go before he breaks Bob Hope's record of 19 stints. Jeez. Next year's Oscars will air on March 10th, coming from the Dolby Theater. Already something to look forward to, especially with the actors' strike over with.
Definitely. Oh, my goodness. Finally, a night of stars out on the carpet. Exactly. We need to see it. All right. Thanks, Joe. Yep. Well, finally this hour, Netflix released the first part of the final season of its wildly popular show, The Crown, this morning. And its depiction of Princess Diana's final years already has people talking. NBC News foreign correspondent Kelly Kobaya has been taking a look. She joins us from London. Kelly, what's in this? Good morning.
Oh, boy, lots of controversy, Savannah. Good morning to you. Controversial scenes in these first 4 episodes, including a recreation of Prince Harry and Prince William's last conversation with their mother, Princess Diana, just hours before she died. The Telegraph is reporting that Prince Harry is expected to watch it, but cites sources saying his brother will not. The series retelling a tragic time that left lasting scars on the royal family. This morning, Netflix dropping the first run of the Crown series in its 6th and final season.
Don't really understand how I ended up here. Dashing around. And losing sight of myself in the process.
Dramatizing Princess Diana's life in the spotlight.
The press are on our tails constantly.
Finally succeeded in turning this house upside down.
That was never my intention.
And her tragic death.
Set against a background of more emotion, the royal family remained silent.
one of the most difficult periods of the late Queen Elizabeth's reign.
What do people want from me?
For you to be mother to the nation.
Diana was killed in a Paris car crash in 1997, chased by the paparazzi. Her death shocked the world. Britain was in mourning. The royal family seen as cold and uncaring.
Since last Sunday,
prompting the Queen to make her first and only live TV address to the nation. Filming for season 6 was put on hold out of respect for the Queen after her death last year. But now, ready for release, the final episode's the most controversial yet, with Diana portrayed as a ghost, reaching out to Charles.
Thank you for how you were in the hospital. So raw, broken, and handsome.
And to the Queen herself.
You've taught us what it means to be British. Maybe it's time to show you're ready to learn too.
This series also portraying the Annus Horribilis, 1992, the year of 3 royal divorces, endless tabloid headlines, and the fire at Windsor Castle. But it ends around 2005 and doesn't cover the ongoing rift between Prince Harry and his brother Prince William and father King Charles. Whatever those behind palace walls think of the crown, it has raised interest in the British royal family.
Fundamentally, the royal family as a whole does benefit from The Crown. It's one of the most popular TV series ever made.
Now, the reviews on this side of the pond anyway right now are not great, but you can judge for yourself. The first 4 episodes are available now, the last 6 in December. Those last 6 depict the wedding of the now king and queen and William and Kate's romance as university students, guys. So new actors, new storyline.
Yeah, there we go. Right. Fun to see that next generation of them. Kelly, so diplomatic. The reviews are not great. Well, I can't wait to watch it. Review for myself. Kelly, thank you so much.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Good morning, I'm Savannah Sellers.
And I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, pointing to progress after that highly anticipated face-to-face meeting between President Biden and China's Xi Jinping, both nations promising to keep lines of communication open. It is a crucial step forward in the wake of years of crumbling relations between the two world powers. We'll bring you the cornerstones of their conversation. In Washington, a potential shakeup in the race for the White House. Democratic Senator Joe Manchin leaving the door open for a possible run after announcing he would not seek another term in Congress.
Are you considering running for president?
I will do anything I can to help my country.
We've got much more from Senator Manchin's telling interview with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker. Also this morning, Israel is doubling down on its assault of Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, raiding it for the second time in 24 hours. We're on the ground as President Biden offers remarks on a potential endgame in the Middle East. And later this hour, we are flipping the script. He has been a trailblazing figure in the world of dance for decades, constantly evolving and moving to the beat of his own drum and entertaining so many in the progress. Looking forward to bringing you that conversation coming up a little bit later. We begin with that high-stakes summit between President Biden and China's President Xi.
The two leaders gathered in California yesterday to discuss a wide range of global issues while also trying to rebuild relations between the superpowers. After the talks, President Biden said both countries had made progress in some areas, describing the discussions as, quote, constructive and productive.
NBC News Chief White House correspondent Peter Alexander joins us now from San Francisco with more. Peter, good morning.
Hey, Joe and Savannah, good morning to both of you. The biggest headline from this summit may simply be the fact that it happened, with tensions between the U.S. and China rising. The leaders of the world's two greatest superpowers had not even spoken in a year, now lowering the temperature with their talks here, agreeing, President Biden says, to pick up the phone when the other one calls.
Following his historic summit with President Xi, their first face-to-face meeting in a year, President Biden touting progress in restoring some normalcy to the U.S. and China's strained relationship.
And I believe they're some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had.
No major breakthroughs and no concrete commitments from the Chinese to use their leverage with Russia and Iran to defuse the wars in Ukraine and the Middle East. But the president announced agreements to resume military-to-military communications and to combat the flow of fentanyl from China into the U.S.
More people in the United States between the ages of 18 and 49 die from fentanyl than from guns, car accidents, or any other cause. Period.
As for concerns about Chinese interference in the 2024 election, President Biden says he was blunt.
I made it clear I didn't expect any interference, any at all.
The president's comments punctuating a warm greeting for his adversary and a 4-hour meeting where President Xi acknowledged escalating tensions but emphasized a way forward. Planet Earth is big enough for the two countries to succeed, she said, while adding it is unrealistic for one side to remodel the other. And conflict and confrontation, he said, has unbearable consequences for both countries. Later, President Biden standing by his past assessment that President Xi is a dictator.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country.
The Chinese Foreign Ministry quickly responding, calling the remark extremely wrong and irresponsible political manipulation. Overnight, the communist leader was the guest of honor at a glitzy dinner featuring a parade of American business leaders, including Elon Musk and the heads of Apple, Boeing, and FedEx.
It really was a pretty dramatic scene there last night. Some of the world's richest men, businessmen, billionaires giving 2 standing ovations to the world's biggest communist. And one other headline here, and you can chalk this one up, is panda diplomacy. Just a week after Washington's National Zoo said goodbye to its 3 giant pandas, President Xi there overnight teased that China will send more pandas to the U.S., calling them envoys of friendship. I see Savannah smiling. No specific details on how many or when they will arrive. But Joe and Savannah, President Xi said they are likely to end up at the famed San Diego Zoo.
Here you go. I grew up getting to see him at the San Diego Zoo. Very cool to hear. A little bit of good news there. Peter, thank you so much.
Yeah. This morning, speculation is swirling around a new potential entrant in the 2024 race for the White House.
After announcing he wouldn't run again for his Senate seat, West Virginia's Joe Manchin sat down with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker, where he discussed a possible run for president.
Are you considering running for president?
I will do anything I can to help my country.
Is that a yes?
And you're saying, does that mean you would consider it? Absolutely. Every American should consider. If they're in a position to help save the country, I think we're on the wrong course. So I will do everything possible.
More on this. We're joined by NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, good morning. So Senator Manchin is a lifelong Democrat. He has not been shy about expressing frustration with the political system, specifically the extremes of the two parties. So what more can you tell us about his thinking? When might we expect him to make an official decision here?
Yeah, Joe, and remember, this interview with Kristen Welker came just a week after he announced that he was not going to run for re-election for his West Virginia Senate seat. So the question comes to, what would he end up running a potential independent 2024 presidential bid, maybe on a no labels type of ticket. And he ended up saying that he would end up making a time frame and a timeline right around Super Tuesday. And that is, of course, in March, when we'll have a very good idea of who the nominees will end up being for both parties. But he also ended up criticizing both President Biden and former President Donald Trump, the two frontrunners for their parties' respective nominations. Take a listen.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure and mobilize that moderate, sensible, common sense middle. I'm totally, absolutely scared to death that Donald Trump would become president again. I think we will lose democracy as we know it. And my reason for saying that, you can't normalize this visceral hatred, calling people names and attacking people. You can't basically think the only fair election is the one you win. And I'm afraid that Joe Biden's been pushed too far to the left. Can he come back? We'll see. But the bottom line is that's not the Joe Biden that we thought was being elected, to go that far left.
So obviously criticism for both Trump and for President Joe Biden in that interview, Joe.
Mark, so Senator Manchin right there, we just heard him say scared to death of another Trump presidency. But then I guess that kind of leads to the question of if he does enter the race, is he concerned about what that could potentially do, be a spoiler for President Joe Biden and enable Trump potentially, to return to power if he cuts into any support there?
Yeah, Savannah, all the polling that I've actually seen is that the larger the size of the third party vote in 2024 ultimately ends up hurting President Joe Biden and the Democrats. And our colleague Kristen Welker asked about the role about being a spoiler, and he had an answer. Take a listen.
I've never been a spoiler in my life of anything, and I would never be a spoiler now. But the
if you ran as a third-party candidate?
Everyone's saying it's going to spoil and tip the scales one way or the other. Okay, you have basically Ross Perot. Who would have predicted that Ross Perot would have elected Bill Clinton, tipped the scales to Bill Clinton? I don't think so. Who would have predicted that Bobby Kennedy now, with his support, would tip the scales for Donald Trump, or hurt Donald Trump, I'm sorry, and tip the scales to Joe Biden, since he basically left the Democratic Party? No one can predict these things.
So we will obviously be following this story all the way up until Super Tuesday. Back to you, Joe and Savannah.
Mark, while we have you, speaking of the 2024 election, New Hampshire is making headlines this morning by setting its presidential primary date for January 23rd. That defies President Biden and the DNC's plans to give South Carolina the party's first primary contest. Of course, South Carolina was key to helping President Biden revitalize his campaign 4 years ago. Walk us through this controversy, which really may only be an issue if President Biden's actually primaried, right?
Yeah, it's only an issue also on the Democratic side of things. The Republicans are going to go Iowa, New Hampshire, like in normal. And the Democratic Party, with the direction of President Joe Biden, said, no, Iowa and New Hampshire are not going to go first. South Carolina is going to go first. Now, it's important to note that New Hampshire is going first, and they set this because it is in their state law that they end up having to go first. And so what we're going to end up seeing is President Joe Biden not on the ballot in New Hampshire. That primary, even on the Democratic side, still taking place, but Democrats trying to put in a write-in effort on his behalf.
Got it. All right. Thanks for explaining that, Mark Murray. Appreciate it.
Well, turning now to Gaza, where the situation unfolding at Al-Shifa hospital has become critical. Hundreds of people are trapped inside Gaza's largest medical center as Israeli troops carry out what they are calling a targeted operation to locate Hamas leaders. But the move is being criticized by world leaders and organizations alike. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest on this. Hey, Keir, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. And that operation by the Israeli Defense Forces inside Al-Shifa hospital continues this morning as the death toll continues to mount. We're hearing that now 50 Israeli soldiers have died in Gaza since the ground operation began, that overnight an airstrike in East Gaza killed 50 Palestinians and another in South Gaza killed 26 Palestinians. And here in Israel this morning, news of a shooting.
Gunfire this morning at a checkpoint south of Jerusalem. Frightened bus passengers taking cover. 7 people were injured. Israeli officials calling it a terror attack, saying they killed 3 assailants in response. Inside Gaza, Israel's hunt for Hamas unrelenting. Our team filming the aftermath of another air raid. In Al-Shifa hospital, the Israeli Defense Force says guns, grenades, what it calls a blast door, and technology like a laptop are evidence of a Hamas operational command center.
Let's have a look at what we found inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment. Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always, an AK-47.
NBC News was not at the hospital to verify the claims, and so far the Israeli military has not said its ongoing search has found Hamas tunnels under the building. Hamas-run Gazan health ministry sent this video from the hospital raid. Israel says it killed, quote, a number of terrorists in the complex. Doctors inside telling of people arrested, some stripped naked, and saying there was no resistance.
No single gunshot was fired against them within the hospital.
Overnight, President Biden urging a long, elusive political solution.
I can't tell you how long it's going to last, but I can tell you I don't think it ultimately ends until there's a 2-state solution.
Meanwhile, the increasingly desperate families of the hostages wait and pray for their return. Prime Minister Netanyahu's wife writing to First Lady Jill Biden of a pregnant hostage who has likely now given birth, and of 32 children kidnapped, including a 10-month-old. Kafir Yafat is the baby's second cousin.
Children are not supposed to be part of this. Some kind of... I don't want to celebrate his first birthday without him.
There are no words, Savannah. President Biden overnight saying he is, quote, mildly hopeful of a negotiated deal to release perhaps between 50 or 100 hostages. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu saying there is no place in Gaza we will not reach. Savannah.
All right, Kirsten Mins, thank you very much.
As the fighting continues at Al-Shifa hospital, thousands of Gazans are heading south to escape the bombardments that have destroyed their homes and killed thousands. Our very own Raf Sanchez got an inside look at what life is like inside Gaza right now. He traveled through the region alongside the Israeli military. Here's just some of what he saw.
Under the watchful eyes of Israeli troops, an exodus of Palestinians from Gaza City is underway. Children with their hands up, their parents clutching ID cards, the white flag flying amid the destruction.
We've been covering this war for more than a month, but this is the first time that we are seeing with our own eyes Palestinian civilians inside of Gaza.
This is what Israel's military calls a humanitarian corridor, open a few hours each day for civilians to flee on foot and escape the fighting raging in Gaza City. 250,000 Palestinians have taken this route so far, Israel says. As a condition of access, NBC News agreed to blur some faces and submit our raw footage to Israel's military censors, though not our final story.
I think every Jew and Israeli can be proud of the fact that we're letting innocent civilians out of the fighting area, out of the fighting zone, to clear it out.
For Israel, this is proof their war is only against Hamas, not the people of Gaza.
But for many Palestinians, this feels like forced displacement. This is their deepest national trauma of being moved out of their homes and unsure when or if they'll ever be able to go back.
We ask Israel's military.
Can you guarantee that these people will be able to return home one day?
I think that is really going to be in the hands of a lot of different players. One of the main ones is going to be Hamas.
Soldiers call out in Hebrew in case Hamas is smuggling hostages in the crowd.
So they're asking the children, put your arms up, we'll come and save you, don't worry.
So far, no sign of the hostages. Israel believes they're hidden in Hamas's vast network of tunnels, like this shaft in a rural area near the border.
We know that if you were to go through this and map out what this leads to, you would reach our hostages.
They found nothing in this tunnel. Now they're lowering explosives. Moments later, Israel searching for hostages held in darkness. Palestinians heading into an exile of dust and despair. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Gaza City.
Time for weather. Floridians won't be putting their umbrellas away anytime soon. Let's get a check on your Morning News Now weather.
Yeah, for a look at that continued rain and these developing storms over the weekend, Angie Lastman is here. Hey, Angie.
We got a lot going on, guys. Hey there. Good morning to you. We've got a couple of spots that are going to be trouble spots today. You've, I'm sure, seen all over your social media the pictures of the flooding coming out of parts of South Florida. We received impressive rainfall amounts in just a day, over 9 inches in the Fort Lauderdale area, over 8 inches from Miami International Airport, and even more than that as we look down towards the Florida Keys. So that area, of course, we're going to watch for concerns of over flooding and some wind concerns. I'll show you that in a moment. But we've got plenty of warmth, at least for this time of year, across much of the Northeast, above average highs for the middle of the country, and dealing with a little bit of rain and some snow showers out west. Now, let's start with Florida, because that's where our biggest concern is today. We've still got millions of people under these flood watches and wind alerts. The green is the flood watch. We luckily have seen that flood warning expire early this morning, as most of that that rain moves offshore, but we still have really strong winds that we could see. Gusts of 45 miles per hour out of Miami already today, elevated stations over 70-mile-per-hour gusts. So it's going to be breezy to say the least and gusty through the better part of your day today. The good news is, as I mentioned, most of the heavy rain has worked offshore. You can see that system kind of sitting just to the east of Miami. It's still kind of an unsettled day across some spots in Florida, Orlando being one of them. The middle of the state going to see some of these waves of rain working through, but luckily for the folks that received all of that rain yesterday, most of that's going to wind down for South Florida. We will still watch this system, though, because as it moves up the coast, we're going to see it impact folks down the line. So first, we're going to watch as we get into tomorrow this cold front that kind of works its way across parts of the Ohio Valley. You'll need your umbrella if you live in that region for tomorrow. But look what happens by Saturday. This moisture kind of merges all together, and we've got the potential to see some really heavy rain and strong winds across parts of New England. That's going to be something that you watch for Saturday. In the meantime, I know people are gearing up for the holiday week next week. If you're going to be traveling on Friday, tomorrow, you've really just got to watch the rain and the wind across the Midwest and interior areas of the Northeast. California also dealing with a little bit of rain. Middle of the country looks great, but the West Coast, the rain and low visibility will be something that you'll have to watch, along with the rain and gusty conditions for the Midwest. Saturday, guys, it'll be mostly nice for everybody, except we will be watching that coast-to-coast storm for the West Coast. That Pacific storm is going to be something we'll have to contend with through next week.
Right as people start to be on the move for Thanksgiving. All right, thanks, Angie.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now, including an alarming rise in delivery truck robberies right as we hit the holiday shopping season. It's got drivers across America now fearing for their safety.
Plus, an American tourist killed in the Bahamas after a ferry tragically sunk with roughly 100 people on board. We've got the latest on the investigation after the break. Here on NBC News Now, we are taking a closer look at the rise in incidents of anti-Semitism in the U.S. since the war between Israel and Hamas began.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, the number of incidents targeting Jewish people is up 400% since last year, and many worry the trend will continue to increase as the war drags on.
NBC News correspondent Jacob Soboroff is hosting this special called Epidemic of Hate, Anti-Semitism on the Rise. He's clearly here on set with us with more. Hi, Jacob. Good morning. So walk us through what our viewers can expect to see. What aspect of all this going on are you focusing on?
Well, all of it. I mean, you guys highlighted some of the key statistics, and it's no secret that there's an explosion of anti-Semitism in America right now as we're all talking to each other. But you'll also remember that less than a year ago, we did another one of these, another anti-Semitism special, Epidemic of Hate, Anti-Semitism in America, to underscore the point that even outside of this moment, this context with the war between Israel and Hamas, anti-Semitism is something that has always been a part of American culture and society. It's real. People experience it on a daily basis. And unless we talk about it, the ultimate idea of eradicating anti-Semitism, not just here, but around the globe, will never be possible.
You mentioned it's the second time you've hosted a special like this. What stands out to you this time, and who will we hear from?
I think people maybe who weren't as cognizant of the fact, both Jews and non-Jews, about the level and sort of the vitriol behind the anti-Semitism in the United States are now sort of coming to the table. So in this special in particular, we're going to have sort of the people that you might expect to hear from, Jewish leaders, people that study hate as a profession, but also college students. College students they're such an important part of the conversation today because there are critical dialogues going on about Islamophobia and about anti-Semitism on college campuses. I mean, the war is obviously a conversation that's happening, but also how we treat one another and how we understand one another and can ultimately move forward is really what we're going to try to get to in this special, because if we don't, really, there's no other option.
You just touched on this with kind of a way forward, but what is it that you hope people take away from watching this?
That we should all listen to and talk to each other, because while this is a special about anti-Semitism, there are many people in this country today, we probably know some of them, that are experiencing the hate of Islamophobia, are experiencing other forms of bigotry in the United States. So we're going to look at what I hope people come away with is the intersection of bigotry in the United States and how anti-Semitism is part and parcel of that. It's obviously a unique fervor in this moment, but it's something, as I said, that hasn't gone away. It's why we're doing our second special tonight, and I hope it's a conversation that we're going to continue here and across the networks of NBC News.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming by, Jacob, to
Thanks,
preview
guys.
it. And as a reminder, you can watch Jacob's special, Epidemic of Hate, Anti-Semitism on the Rise, tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, streaming right here on NBC News Now.
International headlines now. In China, dozens of people are dead after a fire tore through an office building.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Livongo has the latest on that and some other world headlines for us. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. Yes, that fire broke out in a 4-story building in Luliang, a city known for coal production. Now, thick smoke took over the building, and in the end, at least 26 people are dead and dozens are being hospitalized. According to state media, the fire is now under control. Let's fly over to Germany, where trains are coming to a halt. Germany's the train driver union is wrapping up a 20-hour-long nationwide rail strike, putting pressure on the main national railway operator, Deutsche Bahn, over disputes about pay. And now the railways are feeling the effects big time. Deutsche Bahn warns that they are expecting massive disruption to services all over the country. And we end our short tour of the world with a handy new invention. It's the world's first 3D printed robotic hand with working tendons and muscles. Amazing. Now, it was all, well, hands on deck for a team of researchers in Switzerland who worked on this complex project. They hope that this new accomplishment might open up the possibility for more durable robots in the future.
Oh, good.
To use
durable robots.
So cool. I need to get a 3D printer, I
know.
guess.
They are really incredible.
It's
amazing. Wild how it works, yeah.
Thank you, Claudio. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Super interesting.
This morning, authorities are investigating a deadly ferry accident in the Bahamas.
That's right. Families were forced to jump into the water with life jackets when the boat started sinking, and a 74-year-old woman who was pulled from the water was later pronounced dead. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us now with the latest on this. Hey, Emily, good morning.
Good morning to you. As you can imagine, a terrifying incident. Authorities in the Bahamas say they're investigating how a double-decker catamaran capsized on Tuesday. The ship was transporting tourists to a private island and popular excursion destination for cruise ship passengers when it started taking on water and eventually went down. Terror on the seas when a tourist ferry boat in the Bahamas suddenly starts to sink.
Our boat is sinking.
It all happened on Tuesday morning when a double-decker catamaran carrying close to 100 people to a private island popular with tourists quickly began taking on water. Some passengers recording the horrifying ordeal from the boat's upper deck. Video showing terrified people on board wearing life vests as the boat starts to go under.
Once we realized we were starting to sink and we saw the water coming in, people are screaming, people are freaking out.
Brittany Crippen and Derek Smoot were initially on the first level.
Less than 5 minutes was it from like the first initial like splash to we're literally up to here.
They both decided to jump into the water along with other passengers before rescue boats arrived.
So I jumped off the back and I was like, I'm going to get out of here. I'm not going down with the ship. So I went out in the water. Everybody was screaming and crying out there.
Authorities in the Bahamas telling NBC News a 74-year-old Colorado woman was pulled from the water unresponsive. She was later pronounced dead. Royal Caribbean confirming the woman was a passenger on one of its ships. The company writing in a statement, it's saddened one of our guests passed away following an accident, adding, our hearts are with the families involved. 2 others on the boat were transported to local hospitals for care. This morning, authorities are investigating this fatal accident.
That is what happened. We all had to swim. Women and children crying.
As survivors recall just how quickly a day in paradise turned into a nightmare.
Mayhem, panic, terror, people praying, people being literally like smacked into each other and washed around, just like a movie.
So the Bahamas Department of Meteorology had a small craft advisory in place at the time the boat sank, encouraging smaller boats and vessels to stay in port, but it's not clear if weather played any kind of role in this accident. I'll point out there were other boats on the water at the time as well, but just absolutely terrifying for those families.
No kidding. All right, Emily, thank you so much.
Yes, Sarah Grady joins us now. Actually, she was one of the passengers on the ferry, and she managed to escape. Sarah, thank you very much for being with us. So first, just tell us, I mean, how are you doing after such a terrifying ordeal?
Well, we returned home last night, so just now able to process exactly what we went through. And I can say we were absolutely traumatized. We were on the bottom level, me and my parents and my husband, and we were on the back left-hand side, and essentially we were trapped. We had no guidance from the crew as to when to grab life jackets. We got direction from other passengers. I feel so proud of the passengers on board for taking leadership to help guide us to safety. We essentially started to crowd on the end that was up in the air to try to even out the weight. And we got to the point where we knew there was no kind of recovery. The boat was too submerged into the water and it started tipping onto its side. We thought about trying to jump out the back, but in the position we were going to get chopped up by the propeller if we tried to jump out the back. And the captain refused to shut off the engine. He circled around and didn't turn off the engines and went upstairs. So the only way for us to get out was to climb through the window on the bottom level and try to stand on the side of the ferry. Thankfully, another ferry came to our rescue. As you can see in some of the videos, we were standing on the side of the ferry and we jumped from one boat to the other. Doing that jump was absolutely terrifying because we knew if we fell in between the boats, we would be crushed. The waves were really strong, trying to navigate without panicking, using complete survival instincts on if you stop, if you freeze, somebody behind you isn't going to be able to get out. And we didn't know how much time down below we were going to have before we were going to be completely submerged with water. And people were falling down below and being sucked out and into the water that way. It was completely terrifying.
Sarah, how do you feel about the crew's response? Do you think they were prepared to handle an emergency like this?
They stated they've never had anything like this happen, and it was very, very clear. The staff members were hysterically crying. We had nobody down below deck giving us any kind of direction. We were really abandoned and left to defend for ourselves.
Sarah, we understand, is it right that your mother was injured in the accident? What happened to her and how is she right now?
So when we were trying to jump from one ferry to the other boat, like I said, that jump was really scary to get from one point to the other, and people really just were shoving each other, trying to just make sure we made that jump. And when she landed onto the other boat, she hit her face and her shoulder. Adrenaline is a crazy thing. We didn't realize how beat up and bruised we were trying to climb through those windows and making those jumps. And then once we were on the other vessel, we were hanging out the windows, pulling up babies, pulling up children. A lot of these videos weren't until 5-10 minutes after a lot of people were saved. We were really busy pulling people up. It was terrifying.
Sarah, how lucky do you feel to be alive?
Oh, it's given me a new perspective for sure. So proud of how people come together and support one another and say, I got you. And I feel so fortunate to make it out the way I did.
Sarah, was there anyone specific who really helped you during this time with your escape?
Yeah, I really want to recognize a few people. There was a fishing boat that circled around us that was pulling people out of the water. There's been some controversy on, oh, we were close to shore, you could swim to shore. That was not the case. The current that you don't realize was taking people everywhere so quickly. So having boats that would respond and help people, that was huge. The captain on the vessel that we jumped over to jumped right into action. He's in a couple of my videos in there, and he grabbed a rope and he was able to pull the people that didn't have the upper arm strength to get up from the first level. He used a rope, and my dad and my husband and another gentleman were on the other vessel, and they used the rope to pull up elderly people that were really weak and barely able to hang on.
Sarah Grady, just what an account. Thank you very much for walking us through it and explaining some of the goodness that was going on just between the passengers during this time. We're so happy that you're safe and well. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Well, coming up this morning, we are raising awareness of pancreatic cancer.
The signs, the symptoms, and what you should know to keep yourself and your family informed about the disease. That's next. Welcome back. Today marks World Pancreatic Cancer Day, one of the most difficult cancers to treat.
Yeah, communities and organizations hope to share facts about the disease and make sure people know the symptoms so we can keep ourselves and our loved ones informed.
Joining us now is the president and CEO of the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network, Julie Fleshman. Julie, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, talk about what it is we need to know about the disease during this awareness month.
Yes, so today, World Pancreatic Cancer Day. Pancreatic cancer is the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and the 5-year survival rate is just 12%. So we really want to educate people about why early detection is important and understanding the risk factors and symptoms so people can be their own best advocate for their health.
Why is it that it's difficult to diagnose?
So think about where your pancreas is. It's deep in your abdominal cavity, behind your stomach, in front of your spine. You can't touch it or feel it. And there is no early detection test for pancreatic cancer. And unfortunately, the symptoms are benign. They're things that you might not indicate that it is pancreatic cancer. And so the more people can be aware, the better they can be their own, advocate.
TV personality Maria Menounos revealed yesterday that she essentially predicted there was something wrong with her pancreas. Well, on a podcast months before she was actually diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She hopes to raise awareness of the disease, saying you have to listen to your bodies. But what are the signs of pancreatic cancer that we should not be ignoring?
Yes, she's so right. We have to listen to our body. So some of the symptoms of pancreatic cancer are stomach pain, back pain, unexplained weight loss. You're losing weight and you don't know why. Sudden onset diabetes, jaundice, the yellowing of the skin and the eyes. These are some of the symptoms, and people can go to pancan.org to read about all of the symptoms.
So if you're hearing something like this, what is the type of thing that you should do? Flag to your doctor. You say there's not an early detection test, but then what does that mean a next step is?
Absolutely. So people can go to pancan.org and take a risk assessment test, better understanding your own family history of cancer and pancreatic cancer. You can call our patient services program and talk to someone about your symptoms and your risks. And then, yes, be an advocate. Go to your health professional and advocate for yourself. Say something isn't right. Let's pursue this.
Absolutely. And tell us, where are we at right now with treatments, trials, things like that with this particular cancer?
Yeah, there's a lot more going on today than ever before. There are options for patients who are diagnosed today. Again, they can call PanCan's patient services to learn more. And we're learning a lot more. I have hope that there will be an early detection strategy for pancreatic cancer in the future. There's a lot of research being done around trying to find a blood marker so that you could go in and simply take a blood test that would indicate that you might have, that there might be cancer present. So we are making progress, but we need more people to get involved, to take action, and to donate.
Well, awareness like this certainly helps. Julie Fleshman, thank you for taking the time to join us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, she is a decorated former Olympian who has won her fair share of medals, both abroad and here at home. But now, after retiring from competition, figure skater Mariah Bell is finding some brand new success off the ice.
Mariah joins us live here in studio up next to talk about the power of she, which is helping empower women of all ages. Stick around.
We're back with an alarming new string of mail truck robberies across the country. People have been ambushing delivery trucks and stealing as many packages as they can carry. Now, drivers say they're fearing for their safety on the job. NBC News correspondent Maura Barrett has the details.
Delivery drivers on edge after a string of robberies across the country caught on camera. In Memphis, dozens of people surrounding this FedEx truck as it was stopped in traffic, breaking the back latch before ransacking the inside and running away with as many boxes as they could hold. Even after the driver starts to pull away, thieves run after the truck, jump on it, and take more boxes.
In traffic, though, folks.
In Atlanta, an Amazon worker returning from a delivery finds several suspects sprinting up to the truck, stealing packages at random from the back. These groups overwhelming drivers in a similar tactic used by flash mobs at retail stores in cities like Los Angeles and Philadelphia.
Well, this is like my first time someone's actively jumping on a vehicle on the street.
Lifelong resident Cassius McGowan hosts a Memphis-based podcast. He says while looting at stores and on trains isn't uncommon in the area, a robbery like this is unique.
How the person who was actually working feeling in that situation, being like, how is this person going to continue to work and feel like safe and you know this may happen again. The person be traumatized. It's PTSD.
Similar concerns for drivers in Washington, D.C. after an Amazon delivery driver was carjacked at gunpoint. The van left smashed and the wheels stolen, with that suspect still on the loose.
We need these guys. They deliver our stuff and all that, man. So, this got to stop. It's getting ridiculous. They have a job to do.
These shocking robberies ahead of what's expected to be a busy holiday shipping season. ShipMatrix estimates that 82 million parcels a day will be out for delivery. Both FedEx and Amazon telling NBC News in statements that the safety of their drivers is a top priority. Amazon says employees receive de-escalation and safety training, and that drivers should never make a delivery if they feel unsafe. The company, writing in part about the Atlanta robbery, "We're glad the driver in this video is okay. Thankfully, incidents like this are rare across our network. Nonetheless, even a single incident like this is one too many."
Our thanks to Maura Barrett for that report. Though clearly a handful of suspects are involved, no one is in custody in either city yet. Both police departments say there are ongoing investigations. Let's get to some financial news. The FCC is fighting back against digital discrimination. CNBC's Silvana Henao has that and other money headlines. Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, so the FCC has approved a new set of rules to prevent digital discrimination. Now, the agency can now hold telecom companies accountable for offering unequal service across communities based on income level, race, or religion. The FCC will have the authority to fine companies for not providing equal connectivity without justification, such as financial or technical challenges of building service. Last year, a report found AT&T, Verizon, and other internet providers offer different speeds based on the neighborhood and cities throughout the country. Meanwhile, Spotify is now using Google's AI technology to tailor podcast and audiobook recommendations. Google Cloud's large language model will help identify users' listening patterns. Spotify has been an early adopter of AI, using it in its algorithm for about a decade to make music recommendations and playlists. And Target's CEO says customers are grateful to see many everyday items like deodorant and toothpaste locked behind glass. It's just one of many retailers taking that step to try to fight theft at its stores. Brian Cornell telling CNBC shoppers have responded positively because the brands they need are in stock and employees are on hand to open up those cases when customers need an item. Target has repeatedly said theft has hurt profits, blaming that for its decision to close 9 stores in New York, San Francisco area, Seattle, and Portland, Oregon. Joe, I don't know how I feel about stuff being in cases.
Yeah,
I just keep walking.
I know it is a little bit of a pain. I think it could hurt sales in some ways, but maybe prevents theft. So there's, give and take there. Thanks, Savannah. Appreciate it. Savannah?
Well, now let's get to a very cool conversation. We are lucky enough to have a former Olympian in studio, Mariah Bell. She's also a U.S. figure skating champion. She stepped away from competitive skating last year, but she is still making an impact on and off the ice. Here are some of her incredible accomplishments. Last year, she won the national title, and that was actually after not making the 2021 World Championships team. So she bounced back in a big way. At 25, she earned a spot on her first U.S. Olympic team. Well, now she is turning her focus to coaching and mentoring young skaters and empowering women and girls. Mariah Bell is with us here in studio. Hi, good morning. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to have you here. So I want to start with what I mentioned a moment ago, that you did announce last year that you were ending your competitive career. What I think is really incredible about this is this stat. You're the first U.S. woman to leave competitive skating rather than defend a national title since Sasha Cohen in 2007. So tell me about that decision. Why make it, and was it a tough one?
It actually wasn't a tough one because in my career, I was really lucky. I mean, it took me a while to find the success that I was searching for, but when I did find it, I felt really fulfilled, and I was so content with my career and proud of myself that I was really ready to hang up my skates and leave my career where it was.
Wow. I mean, the type of peace I feel that anybody can just hope for when it comes to a decision like that, right? And I know now you're in your freshman year, right? In college, you're at the University of Texas.
Yes.
How is it? I mean, I know you were training around the clock for so long before this, and now you kind of get to live this competition-free life. What's it like?
It's been quite a transition for me. I'm usually used to just doing so much in a day, and so just to be going to school has actually been really refreshing. When you retire from something you're doing for so long, it can feel like you kind of lose your purpose a little bit, and I feel like school has definitely helped me transition into the next phase of my life.
Yeah, I love when we're reminded how superhuman you Olympians are, because you're like, well, it's just school. It's not competition. What's it like at school? I mean, how often are your fellow students or friends that you're making there asking you about the Olympics?
I actually don't talk about it at all.
Good for you.
I kind of like it because it's so different for me. Like, I remember, like, first day of school, they were like, tell us something interesting about yourself. And I was like, I'm not going to talk about skating at all. So, it's been kind of nice.
But eventually they find out?
Yeah, I think maybe, probably.
Yeah. Well, maybe when you, like, leave class to be on TV. Something like that.
Maybe.
We mentioned you mentoring young women on and off the ice. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been able to do a lot. I'm coaching now, which is awesome. I'm also partnered with Athleta, which is this amazing company that I'm doing work with here now in New York. But I just love to, I mean, I feel like I had a lot of really great mentors in my career and people that I looked up to. And so I want to be able to be that for other skaters and young, you know, females on or off the ice as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Athleta, so that's this athletic clothing brand. I'm sure this is a fabulous Athleta outfit right here. And there's this event, I know, which is the reason that we're lucky enough to have you here in New York with us, called the Power of She Collective. That's what you're part of, and you're partnering with this event that's happening right in Central Park and Woolman Rink, which is very cool. Tell us about what this is.
Yeah, so today Athleta is launching something called Move with Athleta. It's a new exercise kind of series, and it's really an opportunity for women to come together and sweat and connect and celebrate the power of she, as you mentioned. And it's starting today at the High Line, and then there'll be some events in Soho, and then also at Woolman Rink, where I'll be skating later today with figure skating in Harlem. So there's lots of really cool events happening, lots of opportunities to grab free product, which is really awesome.
There you go.
And then just learn more about the athletic community and hopefully connect with some really inspiring women.
People love free stuff, so that was a good tease there. What other projects are you working on? Anything else exciting we'll see from you soon?
So I have Stars on Ice coming up. It's a traveling show that will be happening in December. And then that's all in Canada with one stop in the U.S. It'll feature lots of other incredible Olympic figure skaters. And then I'm also leaving actually from here to go to Nashville. Scott Hamilton has a benefit show for cancer that will be taking place in Nashville. So I'll be going there to perform, and that's actually where I won my national title, so I'll be super excited to go back there.
Oh, so cool, and what a fun city. Where's the one U.S. stop for Stars on Ice?
It's in Duluth.
Okay.
I think that's Minnesota.
Yeah. We've got a Minnesotan over there. Mariah, thank you very much. It's wonderful to meet you. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on this event today and your partnership with Athleta. We're so happy you stopped by.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Duluth is lovely, and we'll be getting cold soon, by the way. All right, coming up, we're going to flip the script with a legendary and trailblazing dancer who's been in the spotlight here in New York for decades, from making history at the American Ballet Theater to creating his own company, Complexions Contemporary Ballet. Desmond Richardson joins us next. He's right here to chat about his amazing career in diversity and performing arts. Stick around, that's next. We're back with our series, Flipping the Script, featuring people on air, on stage, and behind the scenes, shining a spotlight on diversity. Enter Desmond Richardson, a standout in the dance world for decades. The New York native made history when he became the first black male principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater. In 1994, he co-founded the award-winning Complexions Contemporary Ballet, which is now entering its 29th season at the Joyce Theater here in New York. And this morning, we are lucky enough to be joined by Desmond Richardson himself. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Easy trip, at least, because you're here in New York.
Right.
Let's start from the beginning. When you were young, what was it that got you interested in dance?
What got me interested in dance was actually gymnastics, because I came through gymnastics training in Laurelton, Queens, at my junior high school, and my coach, Mr. Smur, which I will just say her name, she said to me, you know, you need to have better arms. You should take dance. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't know anything about dance. So then the movie Fame came out. And then I was totally floored. And then I saw great performances on Channel 13 of Rudolf Nureyev, and then I was floored. I just wanted to study and try to find my way. And thus I auditioned for the High School of Performing Arts in New York, and they accepted me in. And
just like Fame.
Yeah, just like Fame. It's so crazy that it just happened that way.
And I read that you learned you were just surprisingly flexible when you were younger.
Surprisingly flexible. I didn't know anything about flexibility. I just knew that I could do it, and I didn't know it was a thing.
Let's fast forward to the 90s. You were the first black male principal dancer at ABT. How important, how significant was that?
That period was very significant. The choreographer, Lar Lupovich, got in touch with me when I was living in Germany and said, I have a piece for you. I don't know if you're interested, if this is something that you want to do. And it was Othello. And I was just so honored to be a part of that. And thus, artistic director Kevin McKenzie saw me in studio and said, well, we actually need you here as a principal dancer. Would you like to be a principal dancer? I was like, yeah. So,
what do you think that meant to the dance world?
Well, from what I understand, you know, that we understand our history, right, and the inception of the company. I didn't really take it on so much. I was more concentrating on just the dancing. But then in speaking with my mom and my grandma, you know, they were saying, you know, there's a lineage and you have to think about the history of that. And, you know, the shoulders that you've climbed on to get to where you are. And to just be proud and to carry everybody through. So that was really profound for me.
What should people know about complexions?
People should know that Complexions started in 1994, as you said, and we are 29 years old. We are multicultural, multidiverse, and not only just through ethnicity, but through the music, Bach, Beethoven, Drake, U2. There's so much there. And we just really we like the world to be a little bit more like Complexions, where there's like a lot of diversity and inclusivity at total.
Does it feel like the dance world doesn't always reflect that, do you think? Or
I think now it's even better.
Yeah.
I think now it's getting even better where everybody has a voice. Everybody always had a voice. So it's nice that people have an opportunity to share what they've trained in and not be blocked in any way. So there's an opening for everyone.
We have about 45 seconds left here, but what's next for you?
What's next for me is, well, I'm choreographing, working with Dwight Roden, my collaborative partner. In Complexions, we are working on a new work on Broadway that's come to Broadway called Mozart, Her Story.
Wow.
Yes, with Tegan Summer. And among other things, we're just doing many, many things. I'm just out there producing and also to working with students. That's my biggest passion for right now, is paying it forward because someone paid it forward.
Exactly, inspiring the next generation, just like it's done for you. Keep that fame vibe going,
That's
right?
right.
All right. Desmond Richardson, thank you so much. And you can check out Complexions at the Joyce Theater here in New York from now through November 26th. Make sure to check it out if you're here in this city. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Don't go anywhere.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.